Good evening. Just one moment. Perfect. Okay, good evening. To anybody might be watching this stream later on today, I wanted to show you a little bit about the game Dyson Sphere Program. It's a game I really enjoy because one, it's a factory building game, so kind of like Factorio or like Minecraft. It's an open world and you build your factory. And two, because it's also a really pretty game and relaxing. Um, a lot of the gameplay concepts and imagery draws upon physics because the goal of the game is to build a Dyson sphere, which is like what you can see on screen right now is an imaginary concept that's been proposed in science literature, not something humanity or eh, not something that humanity could ever build for the next hundred, if not thousands of years, but basically it would be a sphere around the sun with the purpose of harnessing the entirety or the majority of the energy of the sun. Because when you think about it in terms of percentage wise, a solar panel on Earth captures maybe a tenth, something to the order of millions, billions, if not trillions of a fraction of the energy of the sun. So it's been thought of that maybe at some point in civilization will need so much energy to power itself that it would have to harness the entirety of the power of a star by constructing a Dyson sphere around it. And that's what you kind of see here. So imagine the sun being completely walled off and covered by solar panels, and then that energy being used for whatever. So anyway, let me show you the intro to the game. So I'm just going to start a random. It's not a galaxy, but it's kind of like a quadrant or like a small galactic area. And you get a spread of planets. So on the right hand side you can see there's 4 M types, 10 K types, and like different sizes and power outputs of stars, with the most common one being B type. And then each one will have one neutron star, which is an extremely small star that's very high density. A white dwarf, which is the same thing as the neutron star, but I think it's a little bit less in extreme, so less dense, a little bit bigger. And each map will have one black hole, which I've never actually been to. Any planet around a black hole in Dyson Sphere Program has a unique material, which is a unipolar magnet, which is something that in reality, as far as we know in physics, can't exist because you can't have a monopole in magnetics, only in electrical charges. But anyway, let's see the intro. I dig the music too.
Welcome to the actual universe. You may find it's different from our homeland. Should you be able to adapt to the laws of physics in a short time, I am your advisor and will help you through this mission. Everything here is yours. As one of Cosmo and the pioneer of the Dyson Sphere Program, you will explore this cluster step by step. By using the resources here to construct the Dyson Sphere to provide energy for the center brain to maintain homeland, starting from scratch.
So one thing I just noticed, there's no way
to start the mission.
you're slowing down, but the ship doesn't flip and deaccelerate, but
Now please drive the
whatever.
space capsule to the planet.
So each starting planet is the same. It's like an Earth-like planet with the main materials being iron and copper. Eventually, the game forces you to explore to other planets in the solar system. So you can see Delta Orionis 4 is my starting planet, but there's 1, 2. So eventually,
Now
the game
you are about to reach the designated planet.
forces you to go off planet, which is something I really like about it. Also, if you notice some changes made for gameplay convenience and practicality, because it's a video game. It doesn't have to be super realistic. It has to be fun. Planets are relatively small. You can see the curvature of the planet. very clearly in every direction. So I think the radius is supposed to be something in the order of kilometers. Oh yeah, you play as a
This
giant
is
mech.
Icarus, a lightweight industrial mecha with powerful functionality. You can use the arrow keys or right-click on the destination to control its movement. In this mission, you will manipulate Icarus to travel beyond the stars and create miracles. You can use the same operation to collect resources, such as trees, gravel, etc. In the meantime, hold down Shift and right-click to give a series of commands.
Okay, here I'm loading the
You
hydrogen
receive
fuel
several
rod.
items after recycling the space capsule. Click the inventory button in the lower right corner of the screen to open the cabin to view them.
So each fuel source will have there we go, a specific energy density or energy amount per capsule. So you can see this one is 54 megajoules, and the fuel chamber
You can
generation
hold down mouse middle button drag
is
to rotate
200%,
the angle of view,
meaning
or
that
slide the mouse
it
wheel to
absorbs
zoom
the
in
energy
and out.
faster, because at the bottom of the screen is the energy. So right now my mech has 100 megajoules of core energy. Start of the game is just you on the planet, and obviously you start off by harvesting the nearby resources. But it's not long before. What's the first technology? Electromagnetism. Oh yeah, so this is the tech tree. So, like everything else in every other game, you start off with basic things like electromagnetism. Your matrices are your research items. And then you start with the basics of factory automation. So a logistics system, which allows you to move material. Metallurgy is for converting raw materials into a purified form. Assembly factories. Fuel encapsulation, so managing fluids. High efficiency plasma control, so this starts transmission of power mostly. And mechanics, so electromagnetic drive, standard motor really. Well, not a standard motor. Most motors are internal combustion, so this would be kind of like an EV, like the type of motor on a Tesla. And then you move up to like more refined and more advanced form of resource extraction. So basically chemistry, everything with petroleum, getting sulfur, starting with polymers, more advanced forms of fuel, near travel, so like a jet engine or like a rocket engine. Supermagnetic field generator. What is this? Generating high intensity and stable artificial magnetic fields. Okay, so it's a way to create very strong magnetic fields. Kind of like a rare earth magnet. Magnetic levitation. So this sounds like a superconductor, which do exist, but you can't have a superconductor at room temperature. It's a superconductor is a material that allows the flow of electrons, a signal, or electricity with no resistance or loss. It's God, I'm rusty on this, but it's because it's I forgot. College has been a while now. Deuterium, which allows you to fractionation, sorry, which allows you to basically refine hydrogen, which I think you use for like nuclear power, for fusion, sorry. So mini fusion generation. And then at the end of the tech tree, you start getting the more sci-fi stuff. So basically a launcher for the Dyson Sphere parts, the network of the Dyson Sphere, quantum printing technology. Eventually you get like an understanding of gravity, so something that allows you to warp through space. Gravitational wave refraction. This is kind of cool because I like the idea of the video game makers mixing the imagery of optics and gravitational waves. So the idea of focusing gravitational waves, I thought that was kind of cool. Strange matter, which doesn't really say very much about what it is. Oh, also, antimatter. I'm actually working on a video with antimatter. So at some point you have to produce a section of your factory with particle colliders or particle accelerators. So in the U.S., the largest one is Fermilab, which is shut down, I think, for the last 12 years. And the largest one in the world right now is CERN in Switzerland, which is also, I think, one of the only places on Earth where you can generate antimatter. And different types of like optics. So the way the game keeps you moving is that over time, your first planet only allows you to really get to like the first quarter of the tech tree. So let me give you a quick tour of the planet. Oh wait, I don't have any of the technologies yet. So let me show you the mid game. I'm gonna load up another of my save games where I'm a little bit further along in the game. So at this point, I can already fly through space. I'm basically mid-game right now. And I am flying to the second planet in the solar system, where I am extracting silicon and titanium, which are two materials that you can never find on your beginning planet. Only downside is since I'm not very far along in the game, it takes a couple minutes to travel in between planets. But let me show you the solar system. There we go. So Icarus is my spaceship, the sun, the planet I'm traveling to, which is the one with the furthermost orbit around the sun. The starting planet, which actually doesn't so much orbit the star, but a ice giant. And there's just another planet. As you zoom out, you can see the rest of the cluster. On this save game, I haven't unlocked. This is I think my third playthrough. I haven't unlocked the technologies to allow you to go to other stars yet. But I got another save game I'll load up in a second. That does. So at the bottom you can see my fuel bar refueling. I'm at 220 megajoules, traveling at 668 meters per second. And the nearest astronomical unit is 0.8 astronomical units away from me. And I am traveling to Hodius 4, which is still 2.6 AU. So I'm gonna speed up. My max speed is 1,000. So still got a minute 45. This is a really awkward time for me to save the game. But you can see up here there's like a little compass so you can kind of keep your bearings. Although honestly, even though space is three-dimensional, most configurations of orbits will be in one plane. Because generally it forms because it's a spinning ball of dust that will congeal over time and form planets and stars. So they're all made out of the same material, rotating in the same direction. So that's why most solar systems, kind of like ours, are mostly flat. So you can replicate most of the in-game mechanics with just 2 dimensions. And galaxies are the same way as the solar system is. So here I'm arriving at my second planet where I'm extracting some of the local resources. At some point you can set up a network across the solar system that you're working in, and then across different stars. But that's more late game. I haven't gotten to it in this save game. I wanted to show you like a mid-size planet, but then I started heading off for the other one and forgot to update my save game. Oop. So this is, I believe, an ice planet. So each planet will also have a value. So you can see here the wind energy ratio. So here, because it's further away from the star, you only get 40% of the wind energy and 50% of the solar energy. And the different resources that you can extract, so iron, copper, silicon, titanium, stone, coal. The ones that I came here for are silicon ore and titanium ore. The starting planet never has those two. And like kind of like basic, not basic, but like flavor text details about the orbit, orbital period, the plane, of, I can't pronounce that word, obliquity. It's like the angle of the axis. You can see the red line is the axis of rotation. The magnetic, these planets don't necessarily have a magnetic field, but something to indicate like the directionality. So we always associate the magnetic poles with blue being North Pole. So it's because it's kind of easy to get disoriented. Where am I? Okay, so this is what the game looks like. I do like the design, and I've always wanted to pilot a mech. So for energy here, even though everything's running at 50%, if you build enough energy sources, you'll be able to power everything. This is like a secondary factory for me. So this is wind power, solar power. We are currently on daytime on this planet, so the solar panels are blue. And you can see the intensity is 50% because we're far away. And I can, on this planet or in this grid, I can generate 22 megawatts of power, but demand is oscillating between 8 and 10. So I got surplus. Here is an example of resource extraction. So these are coal veins, an extractor, and then a convoy belt that feeds them to a smelting facility. Sorry, an arc smelter, which makes these energetic graphite pellets that you can use for either energy generation. Here, this is a thermal plant where you can use different resources that give off energy when burnt for energy to power your industry. And this green stuff is silicon, or that is then refined into, what do you call these? Oh yeah, just breaks of high purity silicon, which when mixed with, this is copper ore smelting into copper plates. When assembled at a factory, it makes solar panels. So here I have been running this for a minute. So I have basically a treasure chest full with a couple more solar panels I'll need for the rest of the game. Because eventually you move on to higher power forms of energy like nuclear power, antimatter, or just the actual Dyson Sphere, which gives you tons of energy once it's up and running, but it takes a ton of resources. Finish research. Actually, let me say this here, because I'm going to want to come back to this. And here making computer chips. So the solar panels is an example of something that takes 3 inputs and has 1 output. So here you can see the internal inventory. I got 20, approaching 30 copper ingots, 9 now silicon ingots, and then the computer chips. And it can produce 7.5 a minute. So you can see that this thing is filling up every time it does. It produces 1 and takes up, let me see, it's 10, 10, and 5 in terms of consumption. And then it will output them to this conveyor belt that I have set up here and loads them up here. So sometimes I'll leave things running like that and just go off and do my own thing, come back an hour later, you have more than anything that you need. So you see that these are little boxes where I just stockpile items, so whenever I need them I have just a large amount that I can call upon. I forgot what I had flown this way to come pick up. I am mid-game, so right now my mech is powered by hydrogen fuel rods, which are kind of mid-level in terms of energy and in terms of energy density and how fast you can burn it. And I always carry like a variety of things that I need. So some buildings, materials for just anything that I may want to generate for whatever given project I've got going on at the time. So blue is the iron veins. I spread out the solar panels around the circumference of the planet so that I can always get some solar panel. So if you look at the map, there's a ring of solar panels towards the top. Not some, no, there are some. You can see these here, but they're unpowered because it's nighttime on this side. So this way you get more a continuous flow of energy instead of getting a bunch of energy, everything can run, and then when the sun is when all your solar panels are on the dark side, then everything slows down and stops. So if you build a ring of solar panels around the planet, then you get like a continuous supply that you can supplement with wind power or thermal power plants. So, as my wife always says, my factories end up looking like lines of spaghetti. At some point, it does get a little bit, it's hard to keep track of where everything is, but you spend so much time and you build all this bit by bit that it gets pretty easy. At least I'm able to roughly remember, except for the end game when it gets really confusing. But I can roughly remember where everything is. Okay, so let me show you what the end game looks like. Okay, so in my previous save, I was working in terms of megajoules, now I'm in gigajoules. My energy is all nuclear, so these are much higher level than the hydrogen fuel rods. These are deuterium fuel rods. They're still not the top tier, but at some point it takes forever for stuff to burn through your fuel. So you can pretty much fly forever now. My mech's so much faster because there is, oh, I forgot to mention this. There's the science tech tree and then you have the upgrade tech tree. So I got almost everything except like the last level of the battery, walking and flying, the amount of drones you can lay down. And I have the solar sail. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Which one is, oh, here we go. This is your warp speed, or your traveling to other planet speed. So having this thing, it just makes it go by a lot faster. And that is the Dyson Sphere I have been building. The blue lines are, well, I'll just show you in a second. This is pretty. So that's one thing I like about this game, is like the scale. You start off just building one assembly plant, or one assembly line with extraction and a miner. And then later on you're building shells of solar sails around the sun. So all these tall structures are logistics. So the big one is a hub that goes in between planets and solar systems. And then the smaller ones are local planetary ones, moving supplies around. Instead of having to build conveyor belts everywhere, I can build, this kind of takes some of the load off. So you can see the drones moving in and out, picking up material, dropping it off. Some of them just going to different planets, like these larger ones. They load up here. So the small ones are planetary, the large ones are interplanetary. These tall stacks are the research hubs, and these are the cannons, basically coil guns, that launch the solar sails that drift up towards the center of the solar system and become part of the Dyson Sphere. It takes literally thousands to build it, so you can see that there's two shells, a larger one and then one that's slightly tilted with respect to the larger one's axis of orientation, that kind of dim the sun. And similar concept that these rail guns can only shoot their sails when they have a direct line of sight of the star. So this is my chemical section. Oh, actually, I'm rushing over a lot here. These are particle accelerators. So I guess the design would be these little spheres will be able to accelerate particles to get high enough energy for a collision. Hydrogen refinement, or fractionator that produces deuterium. These ones have an interesting design because not each interaction would generate one, so it has a different structure. Oh yeah, and there's two parts of the Dyson sphere: the sails, which would be like the webbing, and then the structure, which is what these are launching. Basically, it's the bones of it. So the conveyor belt comes here, it loads it up, and then they fire when they're in view of the Dyson sphere. This game is pretty. That's what one reason I find it so relaxing. Also, unlike other factory sims of the same type, there is no competition. Like you can literally leave the game running and just walk away for half an hour. Unlike a very similar game is Factorio, which I also really enjoy. I love that game. But that one has a element of competition versus the growing aggression and numbers of the aliens, which is really fun. But sometimes, especially after work, you just want something a little bit more calm and relaxing. So this game with like the music, the more peaceful scientific imagery, it can be nice stressor. So here at the pole, you can see is where I build my solar panels. Just this first. Okay. This is a bad idea. Let me land. Map mode. Let me turn off the. So you can see a ring of solar panels around the North Pole of my planet. So I can always get some electricity, solar electricity. But that's becoming obsolete because now I have these ray receptors, which receive transmitted energy from the Dyson sphere, which, as it gets more complete, you're able to get more material. Sorry, more energy. At first, it's not much, but it takes a tremendous amount of resources. You can see the interstellar drones and the local ones ferrying material to where they're being utilized here. And like you can see everything, the stuff leaving it from the base of the tower. The factory is nearly global at this point. As you can see, is like pretty much all the planet is. No, there's still some sections. But there's definitely one side that I concentrated on. The lines are the research materials going to my research tower, which are these ones right here. So research takes up a lot of material, which is how the game keeps you playing. Also gives you incentive for scaling up your production and scope, and having a need to go to other planets to get more resources, to automate, get more space. But alright, let's go to the Dyson Sphere. Okay, I'm gonna take a break real quick and stretch for ergonomics. I will be back in one moment. And I'm back. Remember, good posture, ergonomics, and frequent breaks are very important for your long-term health. So you can tell from, so those are the support beams for the Dyson Sphere. You can see them launched in roughly groups of 5 or 6. You can see the interstellar logistics ships going from Satula 1 to I think Satula 4 is my main planet. And this steady stream are the solar sails. So let's fly to the Dyson Sphere. Do I have enough fuel? Yeah, I do. Oh wait, I didn't actually set the waypoint. Not that you really need a waypoint to find the star in the solar system, because it's usually the big nuclear ball of fire in the middle of it, but I still prefer having it on. Accelerate. So all solar sails will help you recover energy from the star. The ones that are floating loosely, like these, have a limited lifespan. So these are the first ones you throw up to power all the industry you need to start generating the Dyson Sphere. And then once you get a higher level and you're able to generate the support beams, which are these support beams I'm flying next to, you can start fixing the solar sails into a permanent structure like what I'm passing up over here on the left. And this is obviously because you don't have to replace them. It becomes far more efficient, and you can start permanently increasing your energy capacity, which allows you for more resource extraction, more factories, and more output. So now, the way I'm describing it now sounds very capitalistic, but it's the same concept that you need resources to expand and get more efficient expanding resources. So once I forget what triggers the endgame condition, but there's no real plot. I think the setup for all this lore is that humans live in some sort of VR simulation that's very energy intensive. So they send out these mechanized bots all across the Milky Way to build Dyson Sphere around stars to power that virtual like heaven that humans live in. So you see that this part doesn't have any solar sails attached to it yet. Also, there are 2 layers. I'm not sure there's really much of a difference other than like how the amount of solar sails. I would think they get more efficient the closer you get and the smaller the orbit to the star. So I've never looked into it really. So I'm not sure why you would rather build up close or further out, because it seems the closer in it'd be more efficient. But okay, so this is a regular star. It's a star. It's an Earth-like planet. It's a star-like star, sun-like star when you start the game. Oh, you can see the line of new arriving solar sails. They're going to be admitted into this support structure and then placed around it. So I bet you if I slow down, you can kind of see a few of these being added in. Yeah, right there. I'm trying to see if I can see them pop up. But I'm not seeing it. Okay, well anyway. I think there's supposed to be a black hole somewhere, and I kind of want to try to see if I can get to it. Why? Because black holes are pretty. And I kind of want to see this game's interpretation of it. Is there like a search function? If not, I want to find the neutron star. I'm not finding this black hole. There we go. Okay, 32 light years. So, with our understanding of physics, that's incomprehensible. So if I wanted to just slowboard it there at this speed, it would take me 55. You see that ETA, 42 hours. So I need to make sure I got my space warper. So a lot like in real life, if humanity ever attempted to leave the solar system, actually I'm just realizing my mic might be too loud. If humanity ever tried to leave the solar system, the problem is that the nearest star is 4 light years away, Alpha Centauri. So even at the fastest speed any spaceship has accomplished, it would take probably tens, thousands, 10,000s, hundreds of thousands of years to get there. So realistically, the only way humanity could ever get to the nearest star would be a generational ship. Or, like they do in the movies, warping in space, bending space-time somehow. But that's not something that our civilization is even close to being able to achieve. But it's a video game, and I appreciate the effort that they do, that your developers went through trying to make the game based on some degree of science. But all right, I believe I need to hit caps lock. Is it? Yeah, use caps lock. So. So I'm traveling at 0.25 light years a second. That is insanely fast. It's like hundreds of thousands of times faster than the speed of light. So I can't imagine what type of like relativistic effect that does on you. I'm not sure I got enough energy to get there in one jump. I'm halfway there, but I might have to stop and recharge. I'm actually pretty close to these other two solar systems, Coxa and 1 light year. Yeah, I made more than half though. Actually, let me just stop and course correct. Oh, I'm like right on path. So I started Satula, yeah, most of the way there. Just gotta let this thing recharge for a minute or so. Actually, dear viewers or anybody watching this after the fact, I will be right back. I'm gonna grab some water while this little mech eats up its delicious deuterium fuel rods. Making fuel rods as a better source of energy, 600 megajoules. These fuels. Oh yeah. These are using fusion, not fission. I always get those two confused. I'll be right back. Okay, we're almost at half battery. So one thing I do think they could have added to this game is a circumsolar particle accelerator. I think, well, I'll be honest, I just want to talk about it. It's a concept in the book Death's End, which is the last book of the three-body problem trilogy, or the Remembrance of Earth's Past by Cixin Liu. Kind of like one of the most popular new sci-fi novels. There is a plot point where humanity and some of the protagonists work with a circumsolar particle accelerator, which would use the area, the vacuum of space to accelerate particles. So they never did really describe it, but basically I imagine you would have magnetic acceleration stations, basically in a ring around the sun. Now, what distance? No idea, but if you're able to accurately aim a particle from one station to the next, then you could have most of it actually be empty space. But the precision and the magnitude of calculations there of hitting a target with a particle on the scale of the space of space, I can't imagine the fine-tuned control you would have over magnetic fields and calculations of particle trajectories. But okay, let's see how far we get. I'm at what, 60% give or take? 2.3 gigajoules. That's my max capacity. So with 40 megajoules, that's 280, 680, 1660. So about 3.2. So about 3.2 should be my 3.2 gigajoules should be my max capacity. I made it about 20 light years on one tank of gas. Just trying to make it one more jump. If I keep at this speed, I'll get there in 19 hours, 21 minutes, and 30 seconds. Okay, that should be good enough. Let's go look at the black hole. Okay, 14 light years now. I do like the soundtrack. Very fitting for like the sense of awe of space. Alright, 10 light years until we get to the black hole. 40 seconds. So I think this is the first black hole in this game I've seen. I've never actually flown out here. This game takes a lot. Like, I think at this point I put 50 hours into this game, and this specific save game. I'm not particularly good at it, so it takes me a little bit longer to do everything, but it's a nice game to have like a podcast on in the background or a YouTube video on the other monitor. You can take your time. I like it because I have a full-time job, so a relaxing game is sometimes what you need. Alright, here we go. Now I'm in AU, 15 AU. Ah, that's the black, is that the black hole? Oh shit, okay. Oh nice, look at that. Let's get you in line with it, there we go. Oh, that's pretty. So right now we will be approaching the accretion disk. And you can see the accretion disk gets brighter and brighter as you get closer to the black hole. Finally approaching the event horizon. I don't know, I think there's something just mesmerizing about black holes. The interesting thing is that the accretion disk is in fact in a flat plane around it like a donut, but it looks like it comes over it like that. Kind of like this little like elevation right here. It's not that the material around the ring of the black hole actually goes up, but rather that's the curvature of space of direct line of sight that you can literally see the other side of the black hole. And they're pretty. Let's see how close I can get. Famous last words, how close can I get to a black hole?
Can you imagine seeing a black hole like this in real life? Okay. I think there's a white... Where's the neutron star? Let's see what that looks like. Planet ice field. White dwarf. Oh, oh, wow, that was fast. How far away is it? 6 light years. Okay, that shouldn't take too long. So 6 light years, I flew 20 in a tank of gas, so I need at least a quarter tank. Does it say what type of neutron star it is? Let's go take a look. Okay, so it's got all the material, the fancy ones like unipolar magnet, fractal silicon, fire ice. Mass 2.4 m, so I'm guessing that's 2.4 solar masses. Spectral class X, age 1.4 million years. Let's see what the white dwarf looks like. Mass 70 m, so much bigger than the neutron star we just looked at. Spectral class X, radius. Yeah, it just says, so the mass is just m, so it must be scaled to something like the Earth or the Sun. 26 million years, temperature 0. And black holes trip me out. Okay, I need said at least a quarter. I'm almost at a half, so I probably have enough fuel now, but I'm just gonna wait a little bit longer to be sure. Do I have enough energy and fuel? Yes, I do. Okay, that should do it. So 6.4 light years to NTRJ 2044 Tech 09, which is the neutron star that spawned in this system. ETA 17 seconds. Okay, almost 1 light year. 50 AU. Astronomical units, or the distance from the Earth to the Sun. 6. Oh, wow. I wonder if I can remove the HUD. Oh, yay, got an achievement. Wow. So that's probably a gamma ray burst, I think. So neutron stars again, super high density to the point that neutrons are crammed together because the gravitational pull overcomes, I think, the strong nuclear force. I'm not sure what these rings would be. I'm guessing it's like material that's being pulled into it. That is majestic. Where's that white dwarf? Oh, there we go. Algedi. 5 light years away. Yeah, I got enough fuel. Yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, we're in the AUs. Ooh. Less spectacular, but still very pretty. I think that was everything around here. Well, I guess I should go ahead and see what's the largest body I can see in the system. It looks to be this red giant. I think it'd be mass 0.6, radius 18 R. Yeah, so it's not very massive, but it's huge. "50 light years, so that's gonna be a long jump. I'm going to make a midpoint. Okay, so it is going to take a few minutes to get there. So far we've seen Earth-like star, a neutron star, white dwarf, and the black hole. My favorite still being the black hole. Okay, I literally just need to wait like a couple minutes for the battery to fill up, so I will be right back. Wish I thought about putting the cheat console on. So I was thinking about it. So the red giant is not very massive. It's just very, yeah, 0.6 solar masses, but it's 18 radiuses. So it's very large, but it's not very. No, actually, this would do. So part of me is because there's a lot of like nuclear reaction, basically a lot of fusion, a lot of fission going on in its core. So the difference between I think a lot of celestial bodies is the rate at which it is reacting, how fast it's burning and giving off energy. So the more energy, the more fusion, the more fission is going on, there's a greater there's a greater radiative pressure out that can expand the size of the star. So red giants so large stars is not so much that they are very massive, is that they're very energetic, and that energy pushes out again and counteracts gravity, pulling the star in. In a neutron star and a black hole, you just have gravitational effect completely overpowering everything else and basically crushing the. Oh, there's a sulfuric acid ocean in this star system. I need to explore more outside of the starting area in this game. Yeah, but in the black hole, neutron star, white dwarf, basically gravity overcomes everything else. In a red giant, it's still burning, still giving off a ton of energy. So it's much larger with a much greater radiative fusion out. Let me see if I can see the planet from here. Oh wait, where's the red giant? (160 Pupis 1). I love this name for a planet. Volcanic ash. Okay, I think I want to see this as my last stop of the tour of this. It's not a galaxy, it's like a cluster of stars. I forget what's like the top tier of energy in this game. Did I finish the tech tree? Artificial star. Oh, okay, there is a antimatter fuel rod. I think Dirac inversion mechanism during the research of Dirac equation. So the Dirac equation is Schrödinger's equation, quantum field equation, with some of the aspects of relativity applied to it. Discovery creates a large number of gamma rays, so really high energy rays, can create open string and critical string theory, and they will easily split into proton and antiproton pairs when they collide mutually. Mastering this technology will improve by storing the energy of stars as antimatter. So antimatter is probably could say the most reactive, the most volatile material in the universe. Now, how's the warp doing? Ooh, only made it 15 light years. Where am I? Okay, what's around me? F-type star. Okay, this is just a regular star. Okay, so I think that's everything that I wanted to show off to everybody about this game. Let me see if I can make it back to my home planet. I'll just reload. So I do find this game pretty. Oh, I didn't mention this the first time around. This is oil production. So input is crude oil, and the output is refined oil and hydrogen. Hydrogen you can do all sorts of fun stuff with. You can go see the different speed of the different belts. These are fuel tanks. Always nice to have a buffer of everything. I do appreciate all the stylistic and artistic choices. It does make the game very pretty. The clouds, the Dyson Sphere in the background. Now let's take one more look at the Dyson Sphere. I wonder how much material it would take to actually manufacture something like this. Hey, at least it's one solution for global warming. Just put something in front of the Earth and the Sun. Why did I choose two different planes of orientation for both of these shells? No particular reason. I just thought it would look nice. Anyway, I'll be logging off. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and stay safe. Hope to see you next time. Later. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Thank you very much.